Okay, spring is right around the corner. Although we have not been experiencing much spring weather where I live, I know it's coming. I'm actually filming this video on daylight savings, so we do get that extra hour of daylight, which I'm really excited about. Right around like 5:30, 6 p.m. when it normally starts to get dark, it will still be sunny, and that makes me so happy. So it is within reach. I cannot wait. I thought I would do a spring-inspired makeup look. For me, that means something a little bit more warm-toned, kind of colorful. I'm going to be focusing on like the pinks and the corals in today's video. I do have some new products from Sephora to test out, things that I'm really excited to try. I have reviewed a couple of these products and I've used some of them, but some of them are brand new to me, first impression. So I thought we could hang out, create, like I said, a spring inspired look and see how it goes. Okay, let's start with this product. So one of my all-time favorite products, kind of like an old school favorite, is the Too Faced Pillow Balm. It's basically like a liquefied lip balm, a lip treatment. It's balmy, it's glossy, super comfortable, but very hydrating. And I saw they recently repackaged it and they came out with some new shades. They didn't say anything about reformulation, but based on the reviews online, some people said the formula is not the same, so I'm kind of nervous. They sent me some in the mail's PR. So I have Ice Crystal and then Pink Pineapple Kiss. I thought I would try it out in today's video. I'll end up putting both of these on at some point in the video, but let's start with Ice Crystal. So it says this one smells like a blue raspberry spritz. Oh, it does smell good. It kind of smells like a blue raspberry slushy. So I hope they didn't reformulate it. I mean, just based on my initial first impression, it feels the same, like it's going on the exact same way. Okay, I feel like there's almost a little bit of a plumping tingle, which the original one did not have. So I don't know, it has a little bit of a taste as well, kind of like a plasticky taste, which is different. So there are a couple of changes. It feels the same. And the reason why I like this is because it is so comfortable. It feels like a lip treatment and it nourishes like a lip treatment, but it also has a nice glossy feel. We'll see how the lips feel as the video goes on. So for foundation, I have the new Lawless Forget the Filler foundation. I did get this in the mail's PR. I have the shade 2F. They sent me a couple of shades. I'm going to go with this one. I would have picked this up if I hadn't got it in the mail's PR. In fact, it was on my Sephora Loves list and I was just waiting for it to launch. Honestly, it's not often that a new foundation really appeals to me, so I was excited when I was reading about this one online. So it comes in 48 different shades. It's supposed to be weightless and full coverage, but it's also supposed to have those blurring, smoothing qualities that I tend to love in complexion products, and it's supposed to feel like or look like a second skin finish. Okay, which primer should I use? So these are the two I've been enjoying. This is an older favorite. I mean, it came out a few months ago. It's the Huda Beauty Easy Blur. This is like my go-to because it is very smoothing, very blurring. It also extends the wear of my makeup. And then I also have the new One Size B12 Base Thinner, which you can use to mix into foundation to actually thin it out, add a little bit of glow, or you can use it to prep the skin. Let's do both. On the right side of my face, I'll do the Huda Beauty Easy Blur. And like I said, this one does assist with the like blurring, smoothing aspect. So I feel like it automatically makes every foundation look really good. And then on the other side, I'll use the One Size B12 Base Thinner. So I have been using this a good amount to mix into foundations. I really like it. I mean, I know there are different products you can mix in to kind of thin out your foundations, make them, you know, a little bit more glowy. For me, before this product, I was using the Glow Recipe Niacinamide Dewdrops fairly often, and those do work well, but this one kind of just adds like an extra added glow. You'll see once I get it blended onto my skin. Here's how the primers look on the skin. The Huda Beauty one is a little bit more mattifying, whereas this one is a little bit more glowy. Because it is more of a full coverage foundation, I don't know that you'll see the glow underneath, but we'll see. So like I said, I did swatch this foundation and I feel like F2 is going to be my best shade match. Pretty thin, pretty runny. So I like that when it comes to foundations these days. I don't usually love something too thick. So again, they are marketing this as a full coverage foundation. Because it's so thin, I just assume you're going to be able to sheer it out as well if that's what you tend to like. I have been wearing the Milani Skin Tint almost every single day. So even though I do love a good full coverage look, it hasn't really been my go-to in terms of complexion products these days. But I feel like most full coverage foundations these days that are also marketed as like a very thin kind of second skin finish can be sheared out to look a little bit more natural. Like you can still see my freckles underneath. I'm just going in with a light layer, but I'll build it up to see how that goes too. I think this is a perfect shade match. Okay, so because I have a little bit of a glowier base on this side, I'm curious to know if it's still going to look matte on the skin. It is matte, but it's not a dry matte by any means, which is kind of what I like these days. Again, I mean, I do have oily skin and it's still very cold where I live, so I haven't really needed anything too matte, but I know once the weather warms up, I'll be moving back into like the direction of more true matte foundations. Okay, again, here is a nice light layer. You can definitely see a little bit of the glow coming through, but I still find it to be more of a matte foundation. Super comfortable, very lightweight. I really hope this wears well because just initial impressions, I love the way this looks and feels on the skin. I definitely think that second skin finish is really accurate, like that description of it. And it just looks good on my skin. Now, I do want to build this up a little bit because I wouldn't consider this to be like a true full coverage finish. I just used a light layer, but you can see there are some like dark spots showing through over here, some freckles. I have like a dark spot on my chin right here, you can see. So let's build it up a little bit. But honestly, I like this, you know, more, I wouldn't call it natural coverage, more like light to medium coverage look because that is what I go for these days. So good to know you can get that. But let's go in, layer it up and see if that full coverage claim is true. Okay, it is layering nicely. It is not looking heavy or cakey at all. I'm excited about this. I actually haven't tried, have I tried any other products from Lawless other than their glosses? Their glosses are my absolute favorite. You know what? I tried their setting spray a few years ago and that was really nice, but I haven't tried anything else from them other than their glosses. Have you guys tried anything else from the brand? I haven't even tried any of their other lip products. There are a few that have been on my Sephora loves list for a little while, but usually if I'm considering something from the brand, I'm like, no, let's just pick up another gloss because they are my favorite. They're so good. Okay, that layered beautifully. This looks so good on the skin. Very smooth, very even. With the second layer, it doesn't look quite as matte. It definitely has more of like a skin-like finish. Looks great. And honestly, that's a perfect shade match, which always helps with the way foundation looks. Okay, for cream bronzer, I wanted to use this one from Too Faced. I think I tried this for the first time back in October or November. So it's not a brand new launch, but they did recently launch some new shades. So this is the Chocolate Soleil Melting and Bronzing Sculpting Stick. So like I said, they do have some new shades available. I was using this shade, which is Chocolate Mousse, and that it works. I can blend it out, but it's a little bit dark. I almost think this one might be a little bit too light. This is the newer one, Milk Chocolate, but I just wanted to show you because this was the previous lightest shade, and now they do have this one, and then they also have some additional deeper shades as well. I like this formula. I'm going to use the lightest shade. Let's just see how that looks on the skin. I like this formula because it is a very creamy formula. Like it honestly just melts into the skin so easily. Some of my other favorite, and it smells like chocolate, which I personally love. If you don't like scented products, I mean, skip this one because it is very kind of heavily chocolate fragrant. What my okay, what am I trying to say? The chocolate scent. Oh, this color actually looks really good. I'm sorry, my brain, it's going everywhere. It was daylight savings, so we kind of lost an hour of sleep today. And I've developed TMJ recently, so I feel like I'm not sleeping that well in the first place. Anyway, let's focus here. I like this because it does oh my gosh. The thing about applying your makeup and talking at the same time is like, I can't really start over because it's already on my face. Let's stick with the scent. The scent is good. It is chocolate scented. It's pretty strong. So if you don't like scented products, skip it for that reason. But I feel like it's a nice scent. It's not like overly artificial. It smells like all of their other chocolate products, which I personally do like. As for the formula, you saw in real time, it's so creamy. Like it blends out in 2 seconds. And I actually do think this lighter shade is a better shade match for me. If you found that the other shades were a little bit too dark for you, you might like the new shade. Or if there wasn't like an exact shade match for you, like I said, there are a couple of new additions as well, but I do think this is an underrated cream bronzer stick. Some of my other favorites are Makeup by Mario. That one is super long lasting. And LYS, I love that one so much. That one's a little bit more pigmented. Probably similar in terms of blendability, but this one truly is effortless and I just don't hear as many people talking about it. Actually, I feel like this shade is perfect. I don't really do like a precise job when it comes to contouring my nose, but I'll generally take whatever bronzer I'm using. And again, some of them are too orange and they're not really meant to be used as like an actual contour. And this one is just probably a little bit more natural looking. What am I doing? I usually do concealer first before I go in and apply bronzer on my nose. This is the Natasha Denona Hyglam in the shade N4. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and apply it wherever I get kind of red or need extra coverage. I feel like this just pairs well with like longer wearing fuller coverage foundations. And a little bit goes a long way. Like, you don't have to really layer this product up to get the coverage you want, which is nice. Kosas actually sent me 2 of their new setting powders. So they have 4 new shades. I was curious to try this out because I personally wasn't a big fan of their press setting powder. I know a ton of people like that one. I tried it years ago and my makeup preferences have changed a lot over the last few years. So sometimes I'm like, should I try it again? Because I know for so many people like that is their tried and true holy grail, but I felt like it didn't make my skin look good. It almost made my skin look a little bit dry. And to be fair, I do prefer a loose setting powder these days overall, so I feel like this could be a better match for me. So I have translucent candy, which is pink toned, and then translucent buttery, which is more yellow toned. I kind of want to go with the pink toned one. I know I say from time to time that I don't love pink setting powders on me, but I feel like every time I say that about something, I end up starting to like it. So lately I've been using pink toned setting powders. I think it's because spring is right around the corner. I've been doing like pink cheeks. I've been wearing a lot of blush, and a pink powder does blend really nicely into pink blush. Or you know what, maybe I'll use the pink one under my eyes and then the yellow one on the rest of my face. Really nice packaging. First of all, it feels like you get a lot of product in here, and then it does have that click. I couldn't get it open, but it has that little plastic piece that actually snaps closed, which I think is really nice, especially for traveling, because loose powders tend to make kind of a mess. This looks pretty dark, but the description actually says a talc-free, ultra translucent 12-hour setting and baking powder. It's supposed to blur, brighten, sweep away shine, but not glow, which is how I think they market their pressed powder too. But anyway, I'm counting on that ultra translucent part for this pink powder because it does look kind of dark in the cap. So I'm just going to really press it into this little velour puff and use it to set my under eyes and see how it goes. I love trying new setting powders. I just feel like there are so many good options out there these days. Okay, so it definitely, yeah, I mean, I can see the pink for sure. It's a little bit softer than like the One Size powder. That one was a little too pink for me. I felt like it was a little bit too dark for my skin tone. This one is still pink. And if you were to use like maybe like a loose brush, it probably wouldn't appear so vibrant because you wouldn't be packing it on. But it does look very, very smooth. And just based on the look that I want to do today, the blush I'm going to wear, I do think it will just flow nicely into that. I'm just going to set the other eye as well, but I think for the rest of my face, I'll probably use the yellow toned one because I think that might be a better match overall. Which, looking at it in the packaging, it looks like it might be a little too yellow for my skin. Again, they do claim that it's ultra translucent and they have 4 shades. They do have deeper shades too, but these are the 2 lighter shades. So I'm just going to use this to set the center of my face. I set the nose kind of heavily because that is where I get the most oily. Okay, this powder is incredibly smoothing. Like, that smoothing, blurring aspect absolutely is true with this. I mean, I was starting off with a smooth base already because of the foundation, but my skin looks incredibly smooth, which is usually my main goal when it comes to complexion products. It doesn't matter if they're lighter coverage, more, you know, full coverage. I just want like that smooth look, and I think this powder looks incredibly smooth on the skin. I'm just going to take a fluffier brush to lightly set the perimeter. And again, I'm sure it's like some sort of combination between the foundation and the powder, so I will continue to wear them separately with some of my other go-to products, but this combo, it is looking good. Okay, we are off to a really good start. I'm going to do my brows really quickly off camera, and then we'll do the eyes. For the eyes, I do have the new Natasha Denona Bloom palette. I was excited about this one because I do love pinks. I've loved pink eyeshadow for as long as I can remember, and this one just screams spring to me. Now, I will say, if this launched before I Need a Warm, I probably would have purchased this and then skipped I Need a Warm because they're both very, very warm toned. I thought this one was going to be maybe not quite so warm. It looks a little bit different in person than it does online. I don't know what it is exactly. I feel like in person, there are more kind of warm, orangey coral tones in here, and they complement the pinks really, really well. But I don't know that I needed this and I Need a Warm. They're obviously different, but I like this one much better in terms of color story. It's really pretty. So for today's video, let's just start with this shade right here. This is Robin. When I used it the other day, everything applied perfectly. I just want to check. So it has 6 creamy mattes, 2 silky mattes, 2 metallics, and then 5 sparkling foiled shades. The creamy matte formula is my favorite from her, and it's weird because when I first tried that formula, I actually didn't love it. I found it a little bit difficult to work with, but over the years, I have fallen in love with it because I think it just looks so smooth on the eyes. One of my goals for spring and summer is to get more into color, just start wearing color on the eyes again. I love colorful eyeshadow so much. And so many times I skip it just because in general, I feel like colorful eye looks take a little bit more time, but they don't necessarily have to. I'm going to do the other eye off camera just to save some time. Let's go with this shade Floss. I honestly don't really know where I'm going with this look. I just want to use a lot of the shades I didn't use the other day. But what was I saying? Oh, it's just one of my goals to wear some more colorful tones because they make me happy. I think colorful eyeshadow, colorful makeup can be so much fun, and makeup doesn't always have to be practical. Like sometimes when I'm in a hurry in the mornings, I'm like, just get it done, throw it on. But back in the day when I really fell in love with makeup, I just had so much fun using colorful shades. I think they look so pretty. And pink will always be my favorite eyeshadow color. Anyway, the first time I used this, I really didn't have any issues. Everything applied so beautifully, so evenly. And that's typically how it is with Natasha Denona palettes. It's not really, for me, an issue of whether or not they're going to perform well. Although once in a while there is like a shade or two that doesn't look great on the eyes. It's just whether or not I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. And this palette it immediately jumped out at me. So I'm excited to have it. I think it's really pretty. Okay, I'm going to take the shade Clover. I think I'll go a little bit darker, kind of smokier for today's look and blend that in the outer corner. Actually, I'm going to do more of like a packing motion just to kind of darken things up a little bit. I did not use this shade the other day, but I feel like this would actually be really pretty as liner too. Very smooth, very, very vibrant. So I did use this shade the other day when I was playing around with it the first time. I think for today's look, I'm going to use the shade Ember all over the lid. Ooh, okay, this shade is so pretty. I feel like I was doing kind of a lot of looks like this around the holiday season, just like a gorgeous, like deep cranberry type of look. But I'm going to brighten it up by placing one of the lighter shades all over the lid for today's look. Ooh, I just love these colors so much. And honestly, this did not take very long. I'm just going to use that shade Floss all over the lower lash line, and then I am going to top the lid with like a lighter, brighter shade just to kind of brighten it up a little bit. And then I'm just going to blend the bottom out with that shade Robin. It's looking a little messy, but I will get there in the end. I'll clean things up afterwards. I'm just going to go all over the lid with, I'm trying to decide what shade. I think I'll use Equinox. That's one of my favorite shades in the palette. It's just so pretty. And I'm just going to tap it really all over the lid, not just the center, but like the inner corner, kind of to the outer corner, just to kind of brighten things up a little bit. So gorgeous. It gives it like that wet looking shine. There's a little bit of blue to it too. So I feel like it kind of tones down the really intense warmth of this eye if you do want something a little bit softer, but definitely a good transformative shade. There's really no fallout, which is good. I'm just going to take a little bit of concealer, kind of sharpen up that edge. And then, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna do black eyeliner. I think I am going to take that deeper shade Clover and use it to kind of line my eyes just to add a little more definition in the shape of a wing. I don't have my super precise liner brush. I brought some of them upstairs to wash. So I have a little bit of a thicker brush. Well, hopefully I can still get the type of look I'm going for. I'm going to use this shade just to kind of line the eyes, create a little bit of a wing. Of course, I found the brush right after trying to create a wing with that thicker brush, which didn't go so well. But yeah, this color is like the color I was looking for. I'm sure I have a pencil liner somewhere that resembles this shade, but I think that is the perfect liner shade. Last time I wore this look, I did black liner, and I feel like it just didn't flow well with the eyeshadow. So I love that berry liner. Gotta do it. I have to take the lightest shade from the I Love You a Latte palette just to go over the brow bone and create like that final seamless look. Okay, quick break from the eyes because I do think my lips feel really good. I just took off whatever was remaining from that ice crystal shade, but my lips feel very, very nourished. So initially I wasn't completely sure just because it did taste a little bit different and there was kind of like a slight tingle. I'm just taking this shade, which is, where did it go? This one smells good. Pink Pineapple Kiss. Just because I wanted to try both of them on in today's video and we're almost at the end. This one has a nice tropical scent to it. But, you know, I do think my lips feel just like they do when I use the original formula. For mascara, I've been loving the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes Platinum Mascara. So I talked about this in a recent speed reviews video. It's supposed to be like a lash serum and mascara all in one. So Tarte claims that it has like those really nourishing benefits that are meant to strengthen your lashes and give you fuller, stronger lashes over time. I've been using it for a couple of weeks at this point. My issue is I switch up my mascaras fairly often, so I can't really say that it's made a difference in the way my lashes look or feel. If I was using it exclusively every single day, I might be able to see a little bit of a difference, but honestly, the actual formula is great just as a mascara. It's a pretty dramatic mascara. It can tend to look a little bit clumpy if you end up layering too much, which honestly happens to me most of the time, but I do love how it looks very dark, very dramatic, gives your lashes a ton of volume, a good amount of length, so it has become one of my favorites. It was actually just on sale during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, so I ended up grabbing another one because I think it was discounted to like $14. The eyes are done. I did end up adding the ColourPop liner and kicker on the waterline. I don't know that the silver goes really well. I thought it would complement the shade that I have all over the lid instead of doing like a nude, which can be kind of stark. So we'll just go with it. Okay, let's finish up with the face. I'm not going to add any extra bronzer. I really want the look to kind of focus more so on the blush. That's been my go-to lately. So originally I was like, should I use the Rare Beauty blush? This one's in the shade Hope. I love this formula so much. If you love blurring products like me, this really does blur the skin so beautifully. And I don't think these launched again yet. They did like that sneak peek launch where you could get them for like 2 days and then they haven't been back since. I think they said they're coming in March, maybe late March, but I think I might end up grabbing another shade just because I absolutely love the way this looks on the skin. But I did purchase one of the new Saie SuperSuede Radiant Blush Powders. If I'm being honest with myself, this is not something I needed. I have a lot of blush in my collection. I'm trying to be a little bit more selective, but you know, when I purchased that Natasha Denona palette, I was like, this looks like it will be the perfect complementary color. So I have the shade Stella, and honestly, it does look like it's going to go perfectly with this. So this is a baked blush. Wow, this is pretty powdery. Honestly, I was kind of curious to know how this was going to compare to some of my favorite baked blushes. Milani makes a great formula. Essence makes a great formula. I don't have a lot of high-end baked blushes because I just don't think it's really been necessary in my collection. I'm gonna be honest, initial first impressions, I'm not loving the way this is looking on the skin. I feel like my skin looked so smooth because of all of those complexion products. And this, I don't know. It doesn't look bad. It's just not looking quite as even as I thought it would. And honestly, just first impressions, this feels so cheap. The packaging is very cheap. It feels cheaper than like the drugstore packaging, which I've told you before, I don't mind cheap packaging, but when you're buying a higher end brand, usually you expect it to feel a little bit nicer. This Rare Beauty packaging, I've heard some people say it feels cheap. There's no mirror. It feels nicer than this Saie packaging. But on top of that, like as soon as I dipped my brush in, there was just so much powder everywhere. And I just don't think it looks that flattering on the skin initially. There's a glow to it, but like the actual base color just doesn't look that even overall. I'm going in with a light hand just because I wasn't sure. Like from far away, it looks good, but like up close, I feel like it looks a little bit patchy. And it's not the base because the base, yeah, like look, it's so patchy right here. The base is very smooth, very even. I'm just going to take a little bit of the Rare Beauty blush and go over this part of my skin. Yeah, the Rare Beauty blush is so much better. They're obviously very different formulas. This Rare Beauty blush is a matte finish. It's like a bouncy texture, kind of like a cream to powder, whereas the Saie blush is like a true baked powder. It has a glow to it. There's a little bit of glitter in there, but the Rare Beauty blush just creates like this smooth airbrushed finish. Actually, let me just take that Kosas powder, kind of blend the under eye into the blush again. Yeah, that's why I do love a good pink under eye powder these days because I have been into more vibrant blush and I feel like it just creates like the perfect gradient from under your eyes up into the blush. That is a lot of blush, especially for me as someone who doesn't tend to go super vibrant with blush. But I feel like it really is fun for spring. So, you know, occasionally I do love a super blushed look. I mean, I really like that type of look when I'm not wearing a lot of eye makeup too, because then I feel like the focus really is the cheeks. You know what? I do have one drugstore product I think I'm going to test out today. It's the new NYX Buttermelt Highlighter. This one's in the shade You Butta Work, which is a frosty pink. Okay, they describe this, let me just swatch this. They describe it as a frosty pink. So just keeping that in mind, it probably is going to add like an intense icy glow to the skin. That's gorgeous. I actually want to wear that all over the eyes. Okay, it's much smoother than I thought it was going to be. Because it looks frosty in the pan, I almost thought it was going to be like a chunky highlight, but no, that is smooth. It kind of reminds me of the Rare Beauty highlighters. So yeah, let's take a little bit of this on the cheeks. I mean, I love the Buttermelt line. I like the blushes. I like the bronzers, but I don't know. I thought the highlighters might be, like when I got them in the mail, I have two shades. I'll swatch the other one for you in just a second. I thought the highlighter might end up being like a little bit chunky. No, it's so pretty. I mean, it is like that frosty highlighted glow. You can see it better on this side. So if you don't like a frosty highlight, it's not going to be for you. I'm going to do it in the inner corner too. I mean, if you want a subtle highlight, I don't think this is going to be the line just based on the other swatches I've seen. But if you like an intense glow, look how pretty all over the inner corner. I love it. The other one is Bright and Butta, which is like the lightest shade. This is kind of like a white gold. Yeah, again, so smooth. I obviously bought them hoping I would like them, but just based on like the initial promo photos, I was kind of convinced they might be just a little bit too frosty. And they are frosty highlighters, but they're just so smooth. Very, very creamy. Okay, what do I have left? Just the lips. I don't really have a new lip product, so I'm just going to stick with one of my favorite pink tones, the Lawless Gloss in Juicy Watermelon. First, I'm going to take the Rare Beauty Kind Words Matte Lip Liner in the shade Talented and just use this to define my lips. And then, like I said, I have the Lawless Gloss in the shade Juicy Watermelon, which is one of my absolute favorites. It's so beautiful. I love this color because it is a brighter pink, but when you pair it with a nude lip liner, it kind of tones down the pink, but it is just like a fun pop. And of course, the Lawless glosses are incredibly smoothing. I love them because they're thick, they're plush, they're really hydrating, a little bit long lasting. They're just my absolute favorite. Okay, so this is the final look. It's a very heavy makeup day, and honestly, this is more makeup I feel like than I'm used to wearing, and I love a good amount of makeup, but I'd probably choose either like just the eyes without all of this bright blush or just the blush without the colorful eyes, but it was fun to apply all of the products at the same time. I'm really into pink makeup right now, so I'm excited to keep wearing these, and honestly, I'm impressed by these products. Such a good first impressions overall. I love the way this foundation went on. It applied beautifully. It looks so good on the skin. So I'm excited to see how it wears. I'll pin a comment below. So check that comment for some updates on these products, but I'll come back in a few weeks and share full reviews once I've tried everything really thoroughly. Again, initially really impressed by the Kosas powder. It definitely left my skin looking smooth, very, very blurred. So I really hope this wears well too. Love the Natasha Denona palette, really gorgeous. I want to do a few just like lighter, softer looks with it too, because both of the looks I've done have been pretty dramatic overall. But I feel like you could get some more toned down looks with this, even like a more neutral look with this gold and like this brown shade. So I will definitely keep playing around with it, but the quality is really great. Love the butter highlighters, even more than I initially thought I would. If you love an intense highlight, I think you'll really enjoy these too. The only thing that I just don't think I really like is this Saie blush. It's not even that it's really a bad formula, although it didn't go on as evenly as I thought. It's just that there are so many good baked blushes out there. So many brands have been creating really beautiful formulas for a long time. And initially, I'm just not impressed by this one. It looked a little bit patchy. It just didn't feel like anything special. And it just feels cheap overall, from like the packaging to that initial dip of my brush in the powder to the way that it applied. I'm not super impressed. I love the Saie liquid blush. I've actually been wearing that a ton, but I'm not sold on this. But I will give it another shot and see how it goes on if I'm wearing something different as the base. Anyway, I think that's it for today's video. So thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I will be back very soon with a new video, and I'll be back to share some updates on the products that I tried for the first time, as well as some other products I've been testing. I think I have a speed reviews video on my schedule for either next week or the next week. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.